Welcome to Grief and Gratitude Podcast. We're your hosts, Mandy and Crystal.
This is a space for honest conversations about loss, healing, and everything in between. Each week, we share stories, perspectives, and moments that remind us that even in the hardest seasons, gratitude can still exist. Thank you for sharing space with us. We're really glad you're here. Hey everyone, welcome back to Grief and Gratitude. It's Mandy and we're here with Matt and Monica again. And of course, Crystal.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Matt and Monica, for joining us.
Thank you for having us again.
Of course, this part is really an extension to the story Matt began for us last week, and also as an opportunity for us to hear the experience through Monica's telling. We wanted to start with you, Matt. If you could just kind of remind us of your children and their names and tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. I guess I'll start with my oldest, Kylie. She was 18 when she passed. Outside of the rocky last couple of years of her being a rebellious teenager, wanting to do her own thing, we always been incredibly close. Talking about her personality right off the bat, she was a spitfire. She was spunky, but she was super, super caring. She loved me. So I should say, I like to say she loves me because I believe that love is still there.
That love never goes away.
Yeah. And, she loved doing things with me. She loved whether I'm doing, tomboy things things that were considered like tomboyish for her. Like she helped me with electrical in my garage. One of my most fond memories, it sounds funny, but we studded my snowmobile track together, which if anybody's ever done that, it is. I mean, maybe it's 'cause I didn't really know what I was doing. It didn't help, but it was brutally hard. And she sat there the whole time and really didn't complain. And she really enjoyed being able to help, which goes back to I think we mentioned in the last podcast, she was able to, donate her organs and stuff. So like that was a huge plus because that is just so her. That is her to a T. But, even when things did dial down as far as the adversity with the custody battle towards the end, she like on her birthday last year, we went and got dinner and she was so loving and so appreciative. And she knows how I am. I've been called cheap more than once in my life. And we went out to dinner for her birthday and she's like, I told her to get whatever she wanted. And she's looking at the calamari for an appetizer. And she's like, it sounds good, but I shouldn't get it. And I'm like, Kylie, and she's like, oh, wow, Dad. But,
She was just so full of energy and she loved like doing her hair and, her nails and stuff, just like I would say like almost like any other girl or teenager. But she loved, going on runs and walks and hikes with us too. Like she loved nature
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. And I guess shifting gears over to Tyler, man, it's hard. Tyler was I really wanted him to be all the things that I didn't like about myself or things that I was insecure with about myself my entire life. Primarily, I got him into wrestling at a young age, like I think it was 8th grade, and he loved it. And I always look back to it because I believe those one-on-one activities, one-on-one sports like that, it forces you into it. You got to challenge yourself and you learn a lot about yourself with doing hard things. And he loved that. And he was super proud of making me proud. He loved doing things that he knew. And he always tried so hard to make me proud. And he didn't have to necessarily. It was just, he really cared about the way I viewed him. And I also love the fact that he was 13, 14. He was still wearing like Pokemon shirts and stuff. He embraced his inner nerd while he still hung out he was like me in high school. Like I hung out with nerdy people, I hung out with the popular people. I've always loved people. I don't care as long as you're a decent human being. Boy, he joined wrestling his last year of high school. So he would have done it in 11th grade as well. And he really liked that as well. But it was really cool because I had a lot of parents that reached out to me and said things like, your son was my son's first friend. He was the first one to give my son an opportunity. I had a kid reach out to me that was in his grade, and he told me that Tyler introduced him, like asked him to sit with him at lunch at his table, and his kid didn't really have many friends. And when I heard that, man, I broke down pretty good because that is so something I talked to him about. Like, listen, dude, like how you make other people feel in this world is so incredibly important. Yeah.
Yeah, he was always there to help, like, no matter what. If I asked him for anything, he would literally, like, drop what he was doing and
Yeah.
run and be like, "What did you need?" and do it, and
Unconditionally.
right.
Not for money or, anything like.
No, no, and our neighbors too, he would help them all the time, and it's just every night almost, when he was here, he would and I would, like, get up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom or whatever, and he would be on his phone talking to his girlfriend, and I can
Oh.
just, like, see that in my mind all the time. It's, like, dark, and I see his little light of his phone, like, on his face, or he's eating at the end of the table in his seat that he was always at with his blanket around him, and
Yeah.
it's just that's, like, so burned into my brain.
For the last about a year of his life, he had a long-term relationship with this girl, which is
Mhm.
a sweetheart. We're good friends with her
Yeah.
now, and she actually started going to church since the accident. We see her at church a lot,
Mhm.
and her family. So it's just a little bit more silver lining, and something that I always think about, and I'll think about the rest of my life. I remember when Tyler was, whew, he would have been 15, and I remember at his track meet. Oh, man, it's so hard. Excuse me. I went to his track meet. I said bye to him, and I started to walk away. His friends were there and stuff. He's like, "Dad," he's like, "Come here." He's like, I'm still gonna hug you." He's, "I don't care how old I get." And I remember another like really like Tyler moment I had. He was probably 12, 13, about the same age as Bradley is now, like just hitting his growth spurt because he was always a very small kid for his age, which is weird because I'm like 6'3". I told him, I'm like, "Dude, you want to go for a motorcycle ride? Pretty soon you're going to be too big. It's not going to be cool to ride with your dad anymore." And like, he got teary eyed, and like, that's just so him. I see
Well,
that.
he's a lot like you. Matt is very, I don't wanna say sensitive, very connected, like, emotional and stuff like that, and not afraid to show it. And I know no most boys or men are afraid to let their guard down and be
Yeah.
open like that and feel comfortable showing, when they're sad or, quote, unquote, "weak" or whatever, and Tyler was very much okay with that, and
Yeah,
it
and
yeah.
because of the last couple of years of adversity, like, and we talked about, I talked about it a lot in our podcast that we did, talking about navigating our loss for the first time back in November, and talked about our camping trip. And I go back to that a lot because I'm big on taking photos and videos and stuff. I just always have been, maybe a little too much sometimes, but like, after navigating so much adversity, and when we were hiking, I remember, because when in my opinion, most people, at least I hope most people, appreciate life more when they go through incredibly difficult times. And when we were going on this hiking trip, Mount Marcy, it's the highest mountain in New York State. It was a 19-mile hike we did together, and it was cool because he was so appreciative of the moment, just so appreciative of every single moment, which makes it so much more unfair that he's gone in a lot of ways, because it's like there's so many people that are not grateful that, but, and I think everything does truly happen for a reason. I just, you know, I do have some questions for God whenever I'm able to ask him, but who knows, maybe in this lifetime I'll have answers and I don't need to ask any questions.
Well, thank you so much for sharing about them. I just wanted to point out how special it is when other people reach out to tell you stories like the
Mhm.
lunch table, and how a lot of people are scared to come forward and talk to you. But it's so wonderful when people do and tell you stories, and you realize that your influence on your child also made a mark on someone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's really just a very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Monica, we will now shift over to you, however you want, right in whatever place it feels comfortable to begin your story. Feel free.
Okay. I obviously specifically about like the day of the accident. I was home and I think it was on a what day? A Thursday. So
Thursday.
um I was actually cleaning the boys' room when Matt had called me, which is weird to me. But he had called me and said he was gonna put me on speakerphone because there was an accident. I'm sorry.
You're okay. Take your time.
And obviously, we didn't really know, how bad it was because he was, like, an hour and a half away, and so he's, like, cruising there, so I'm worried about what happened, but I'm worried about him going there and driving himself, so I'm glad, I guess, at least that I was on speaker so I could hear him.
I almost got in
He
an accident on the
I
way
know,
there too.
and he was on the phone with Bradley, obviously, at the time, I think we said that in the other episode. And so I run upstairs, and then my daughter Melanie was home, and I'm like, Mel, something happened. And she was in the living room with me, and I'm pacing and like going back in our room and in the kitchen and walking all over because I is just anxiety and stuff. And that's like what I do a lot of times when I'm on the phone and I'm like in this, I don't want to say heated conversation, but just fear conversation, I guess. So shifting forward, Matt gets to the scene of the accident, and I don't really remember a lot. I remember him getting to Bradley,
You could
and
hear Tara screaming.
yeah, I could kind of hear like people in the background maybe. I heard someone line so Tara, Tasha's sister, I heard her saying something like they didn't make it, but her scream when they said to her that they didn't make it, just her scream. I didn't know when I was on the phone if I should try to go there or like what to do. So I'm home kind of helpless, not knowing what to do, didn't know if, like who to call. It's really kind of different for me to get emotional like this because a lot of times I hold it in because I'm
Mm.
trying to be strong for him and Bradley and my daughters. So when I think Matt was like kind of on his way back and he said, I'm just gonna come home, I'm gonna get you. I have Bradley, we're gonna go to the hospital where Kylie was because she was airlifted upstate. So I think was I off the phone with you when you were headed home, I think, because Bradley and Matt were safe in the car coming to get me. And I immediately just thought, okay, I have this huge church family and I need prayers right now. So I called and texted just a couple people, and those people like immediately stopped what they were doing and came to my house. They lived kind of close. And then, of course, my family, my two sisters and my mom came to our house too and stayed with my daughter Melanie while I left and went to the hospital with Matt and Bradley. And it's just it's one of those things where you're waiting for someone to call you and say they're fine and that, Natasha and Tyler are at the hospital, but they're okay. They have injuries, whatever. And it's like in my brain, I was waiting for someone to say that, but it never happened. And then going to the hospital and seeing Kylie in the room, I'm like missing so much stuff. And just seeing Kylie, someone that you just have worried about for so long, and see her like helpless and that you can't do anything is really hard. I think just going there almost every day for 3 weeks, you're waiting for a miracle to happen. Matt has said, I think, in the last episode, how we know people that had miracles happen, that they were so close to death or so close to not being able to come out of the situation that they were in. And I was just waiting for something to happen, and that thing didn't happen. So again, it's like we're trying to mourn the loss of Natasha and Tyler, praying that Kylie gets out of this, and that doesn't happen. And we're like, I think I feel like I'm still in shock. I feel like we are those people where a lot of times people are like, that happens to those people, that stuff doesn't happen to us. And it did. And it's just still a very unsettling, weird feeling that we are in this situation, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just want to say I feel the same way as you. My son passed September 2024, and just as you're talking, he had 4 cardiac arrests over 3 years. And so when he had his 5th one, it was like, okay, he's going to be okay because he's been okay all the other times.
Right.
And then he had another one while we were in the hospital. And again, he's going to be okay. He just had another one and he's always come back.
Yeah.
And then it obviously didn't turn out that way. And the same, hearing the scream from his stepmom in the hallway. And I'm still in shock as well. I just feel so much connection with you guys because I feel the same, even though it's a totally different situation, we're still feeling similar feelings as to what happened. Like,
Yeah.
it's still shocking. It's still, this doesn't happen to us. This happens to other people, and they're going to come out of it. And it's just, I just feel connection with you. I understand. And I just want you to know, I hear you and I see you and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I also feel like in my mind, we had 50-50 custody. So in my mind, it's like Tyler's just at Natasha's house or just at a friend's house, So I feel like,
Same.
yeah, it's like
Same.
you expect them just to
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like he's at his dad's, and so it's
right,
still not real, yeah.
right.
No, it's so hard.
Yeah,
I just I had a memory as I was talking. I don't think I talked about it on our last one. I when last week did I talk about going to their house?
I don't think like, recently?
So not to swing in a different direction, but I just think
Mhm,
it's an interesting perspective for people to hear. We had to go to my ex-wife's house to get my son's belongings, and back to a perspective shift for people. Keep in mind, this is my old house that I bought with my ex-wife. As a modular double wide, and we got it brand new when we were young, and we super proud and excited to move into this together. Had 3 kids there, and after we separated, she stayed there, and Bradley and I had to walk into this house where literally everything in the house is now dead. Like even the dogs, and
mhm,
looking around. And of course, I'm in this house and I'm seeing these old pictures on the wall. And Natasha kept everything. She was a
mhm.
pack rat. And so I guess this is an opportunity to talk a little bit about her. And because I found a lot of things that, especially somebody, if they separate from people, a lot of people like get rid of pictures and stuff. No, she like kept photos of us and stuff. And man, just going through and seeing like my kids' old toys and my kids' old bunk bed that I built by hand, and walls that I painted with my ex-wife. And it's because it's weird. It's like it's a strange dynamic, because it's like the animosity was real for a few years, but there were so many good years too. And like I had to, and it's hard for her to have this perspective, because she didn't really understand that or know that person that I was once with. And she knew, and she's obviously able to more so remember just when things weren't good. And it's hard for me, because it's like I have a very hard time remembering the good when there was so much bad. But it's like since time has, I guess, passed, I'm now like I'll have thoughts of things that I just haven't thought of in many, many, many years, of different things. And
I also think a different perspective too is, like, regardless of the, good or horrible relationship that Natasha and I had, she was in a different part of her life, a different part of her journey in her life, and we're in a different part of, in our journey, and everybody else that we know, everyone's in a different point.
yeah,
And regardless of how hard it was for her, like, she's still a human being. She's still my stepkid's mom. And regardless of what has happened, what was done, what was said, whatever, it's like she was hurting. And I know right now in my heart and my soul that she's okay right now. And that's all that anyone should hope for someone, regardless of your relationship with that person. And Bradley's here, and that's his mom. And I still
I think
think
that's the hardest part.
it is, but at the end, no matter how hard and bad it was, like, the end wasn't bad,
Yeah.
and I actually I have this I have a screenshot of a text message that I had sent her, like, maybe a week before the accident or something, and I was just like, basically, "God chooses you every single day, every moment of every single day, He chooses you," and her answer back, because we didn't really ever talk or call or text or anything like that. I just felt such this urge to write to her to kind of just give her a little bit of love, because I always say, you can't fight evil with evil, you have to fight evil with love. And her answer to me, it gives me goosebumps, was just like, "Absolutely, girl," with a heart emoji. If people knew how things were, that would just give me goosebumps, knowing the people and knowing that people can be forgiven and you can show people love no matter what's happened. And that gives me a little bit of peace that when she did leave, that we weren't on bad terms.
And well, thank you for bringing Natasha in, right, to the picture, because that was a life lost as well.
Mhm,
And it speaks to, the journey and complexity. As you said, Matt, she was the woman and mother of your child, and the family and the home and the walls you painted, right? All those things are true. Two things can be true at once. It's
mhm.
same as
Yeah.
the love you have and what you've built.
Yeah.
But what a beautiful thing, that connection, that text. You
Yeah.
couldn't have placed that better
Yeah.
leading up to such tragedy.
Yeah.
It was hard. I remember waking up, as I think it was October, so we're talking 2, 3 months after the accident. And I remember waking up one morning, and I was emotional. I woke up crying, and I didn't know how to say something to her, and I'm like, I never grieved over Natasha. And and I'm like, and I said to her, I'm like, and it was weird saying this at first, but she's super understanding. And I'm like, at one point in my life, I loved her similarly to how I love you. And like that's it's crazy to think that. And it's just
I think people in a, world where people are divorced all the time, you don't have to hate the other person,
no,
and it's hard. This is, like, so really not on the same, like, subject of, what we're talking about, but it's okay to, still care about the other person or mourn their loss if they had passed, and, like, I'm mourning her loss as well, even though it's very different. It's still we're all kind of in the same boat. We all lost someone that is important in this, life.
Absolutely. And she was meaningful to both of you in different ways. And there's now this loss of this woman that would have remained a part of your lives, right? And things could have
Mhm.
yeah,
potentially, right, continued to move in such a way to
Right.
come together as a family unit. So
yeah,
Yeah.
the grief is real. Right before this, when you all were talking about the grief stages, right, and shock, I just
Yeah.
wanted to put in play, I'm sure you all have looked into like the stages of grief, right? But
yeah,
I always remind myself of the seven. So if we talk, it's shock and denial and anger and bargaining, depression, testing, and acceptance. There's no
Uh-huh.
actual, the order isn't right. It's not like I go from shock to denial, because you can have acceptance and then wake with shock. It's this
Right.
yeah,
it's constantly moving.
Right.
And over 17 years in, right, I still have moments of bargaining, right? I'm not going to
yeah,
lie. When you
Yeah.
spoke to that, like you still have those questions for God. Maybe life will allow it. But you're new to this journey of life without those you love here on earth with you. And it's big. It's a huge change. And I think talking about it and identifying it is very helpful.
yeah. I agree.
I think that's something I definitely need to work on, and I'm, like, the first person to be like, "If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy." If you need to do more self-love, do that. I will throw that at people all the time, and I think for me, like, almost, like, subconsciously, I keep my mind busy so I'm not like this, feeling like this or crying because, like, I don't wanna cry, and he'll say that he's okay with crying and stuff, and I'm okay with it. It's just I don't wanna be sad. I wanna focus on the life stuff going on right now with being okay with thinking of them without being sad. And I don't know, it's hard sometimes to focus on my daily life when I'm like getting up in the morning and I'm letting the dogs out and I'm thinking of them, or I'm thinking of what if this happened, or what if this, or if I could say something to them, this is what I would say, knowing that I could say it and hopefully they can hear me now, And I think it's just in my mind, the no more making memories with them or helping them through life stuff, them growing, healing, and meeting their, husbands or wives and having a life and getting married and all that stuff that isn't gonna happen. I try not to let that bother me.
If I could ask, when you do allow yourself to cry or feel emotional, do you find relief after? Do you see the benefit to providing space for yourself to break down?
Yes, not I would say not all the time though, because if I give myself that space, depending on where I am, like if I'm at work, I get frustrated because I'm like, I need to go home. And then I'm like, I just wasted a day of work. So then I'm frustrated with myself that I wasted a day of work, even though I should allow myself to have that time.
So it's the
Yeah,
compartmentalizing.
right.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say you're too focused on being strong for everyone else where you need to be strong for yourself too
Right.
and let yourself feel the feels and
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was just having this conversation with my coworker. He's one of my best friends, and I'm like, I just wanted to let you know, buddy. I'm like, I've been hiding it really well the last couple weeks since we got back from vacation because
Mhm.
I think I just mentioned to you, like, since we've been back from vacation 2 weeks ago, like, I've been struggling so bad. And actually, the last 2 3 days, 2 days have been, I think the storm finally breaks. And I think that's something that's really important for people to remember. For me, it's very difficult to remember. It's easy to preach this, but it's very hard to
Yeah.
follow. It's like the storm will break, and it may not break permanently, but it's going to break. And just I don't know, and I go back to I don't push religion on anyone, but man, when I pray and I really ask God, be like, "Hey, just throw me a sign." Sometimes I've realized when I'm asking that, I'm like, "Wait, like I've had signs being thrown in my face that I got to be damn near blind to miss them." And sometimes you just need to open your eyes, and then like going back to being grateful. I actually heard this quote literally right before we got on this, something I was running to said, when you're grateful, if you're fully grateful and you can be present, it leaves no room for anxiety, fears, and
Mhm.
lack thereofs. And I really like that because when I'm really able to look at my life and I'm able to look at her and I'm able to look at my son and what I do have, I'm just like, I am so damn fortunate because, like, how many people don't know what it's like to roll over in the morning to look at somebody next to them and be truly in love? Like, there's a lot of people that never experience that. And I don't know. I am so fortunate. I am so fortunate. I go back to the saying, I'm just fortunate for the 16 years and 18 years with the kids. Not exactly how I wanted things to work out, but it is what it is. Sorry.
It's important to remember, right? The leaning in to gratitude, because in some instances, people feel like I shouldn't be grateful, right? Almost because the loss, I'm doing this
Mhm.
without them, or I wonder if
Yeah.
I'm going to be judged for being as happy as I am right
Oh,
now
yeah.
because
I
of
worry
what
about that
I've
all the time.
lost. And if we actually, and if you believe in God or a higher power, if you lean into that and you lean into faith and love and humanity, right? Anxiety really does go. It leaves our bodies, even if it's fleeting, even if it's for a moment, it's that fully
Mhm.
leaning in.
Yeah.
And as you said, the fact that you can roll over and see Monica and feel filled with the love you two have for each other, that is a gift beyond words.
Yes.
Like, if we didn't have each other, I don't know how right now would be.
That just made me think too is I have found going through extreme loss and when I think this is really important for people because when you go through what's most people's literal worst nightmare, it really takes your threshold of what can go wrong and it raises the bar. And I look at, especially the first month or two, I looked at everything. I'm like,
Mm.
because when you love someone or something so much, you're vulnerable. You're risking that what could happen if you lose that person. And I thought about that so much and thinking about people that have lost their husbands and wives. And I'm just like, today at church, a little elderly
Mhm.
lady was talking to us and with tears in her eyes about lost her husband years ago. And like, I could feel her pain and it scares the living hell out of me.
Mhm.
She was talking about not liking being home alone and lonely. And I'm just like, I don't know. Cause that's something I've been trying to, um, not allow my mind to go down those paths of just like being concerned about what I can still lose. It doesn't do any good. And
Yes, any second your other child, because we have 3 kids, like, we still have Bradley, Melanie, and Taylor, and anytime they're out the door,
yeah,
I'm just waiting for them to be like, "Hey, I made it here. I made it back to school," or "I made it
yeah,
back to grandma's," or wherever it is. I'm just like, "You need to, like, let me know." Like, even more hardcore now than it was before.
That's definitely an added fear once you've lost so big. It's been helpful, at least for me. My kids are 16 and almost 11, but the 16-year-old, like the idea if I lost her after losing my twin and then having her, like, oh my God, what if I lost her? I almost couldn't fully love her because I was so afraid to lose her.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
then as we got into these preteen years and moving forward in vehicles, right, and
Yep.
yeah,
all these things, really had to pray every night on my knees. I had to pray to that and say, Lord God, I need sleep. I'm going to be a bitch tomorrow, right? Like I have things to do. And two, I know it's in your hands. And I'm just asking to protect what is in your way, what's your will in your way, Lord. And I just then meditate to that and let myself fall asleep because we cannot, that fear won't stop what's going to happen in anyone's life, but it can absolutely consume you.
yeah.
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 Was it 99% of things you have anxieties over never come to
Yeah.
fruition? So
Right.
You're creating it and you're actually potentially giving yourself increased trauma because you're creating a
Mhm.
scenario that didn't happen. If
yeah,
it
Yep.
happens, now it's happened twice. If it
yeah,
doesn't happen, but you made yourself experience it, right? Like, we just created
Yes.
it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's, like,
Yeah.
amazing you saying that because it shifts so much, like, the perspective of your thoughts, like,
Ugh.
you whatever thoughts you get, like, I usually can be really good about just, like, not thinking about it. When it enters my mind, I'm like, "Alright," I distract myself and do something else, and it goes away. Like, you control your thoughts, and it's like you can control your happiness. Like, when you get sad, it's okay, but don't like, you can sit with it, don't live there forever.
Yeah.
You have to like, we're human beings. This is what we do. It's in our souls to feel sad or depressed, anxiety, happiness, love, and everything, but it's kind of up to us how we, let certain things kind of take over our thoughts and our minds.
Yeah. Choose happiness, I think, in a
Yeah.
lot of ways.
Gratitude. Gratitude is almost the answer to help
Yes.
daily, I think.
And I think too, hearing you both, Crystal and Matt and Monica, speak about your faith before my son passed away, I was more agnostic. I didn't really know what I believed. And after he passed, I really just leaned into, I felt him. I knew
Mm.
there was, wasn't not there anymore. He was still with me. I felt him with
Right.
me for days after. And he sent me signs
Yep.
clearly from him, like not a coincidence,
Right.
definitely a sign. So I just wish that more people could experience that, feel that, and not have to go through a tragedy
Yeah.
or
Right.
bad divorce or situation to get to that point.
Mm.
It's just unfortunate, but it is, I appreciate your faith and it just makes
Mhm.
mine feel stronger.
I've always wondered if somebody that has had zero loss or zero adversity, if they could listen to a conversation like this, it's like, can we give somebody a piece of our knowledge to the point they're going to be able to have more appreciation, be grateful without going through the loss and the pain and the hardship? And it stinks because it's like, I don't think you can,
Right.
kind of like, like I think I mentioned how we drove by an accident. Like I used to drive by accidents, car accidents and stuff when I worked for the police department and stuff. Didn't phase me at all. Like, wow, that looked like it sucked. But now it's like I could feel the pain in the
Mhm.
air, and I don't know how to explain it like that. It's just that empathy is just,
Yeah.
and it is a good thing. It's just,
But it's not like that for everyone though, because
no,
you
you're
you
right.
drive by and you feel that empathy and you get very, I hope everyone's okay type of thing. But sometimes when things like that happen to people, they get angry
Yeah,
and bitter at life instead. So again, it's kind of like what road do you want to go down?
yeah.
Absolutely. Monica, I would like to go back a bit to within your story
Mhm.
after the loss, after the 3 weeks, I think it was in the hospital and, coming home and trying to come back to home and create a new normal.
Yeah.
How was it for you personally to experience and not only support your family, but navigate through your own grief and gratitude? How was that in the early stages for you?
I think it was just literal full blown shock at first and it didn't seem real. When I pull myself like out of myself, kind of like watching myself do the things that I do, like I was the one that went through the boys' bedroom after everything and kind of shifted some stuff around, but not too much. So it was very different for Bradley. Just so when he walked into the room, I didn't want it like Tyler was never there, but I wanted it a little bit different. So it wasn't in his face that he wasn't here anymore for Bradley. So I just tried to make it comfortable for him. And then just going through Tyler's stuff, like I feel like I was okay doing it because I didn't let myself, I guess, fully know why I was doing it, if that makes sense. I was just doing it with them being gone, Kylie and Tyler, and Matt will agree to this, but I'm usually always the one that does like the Christmas shopping and the
Mm.
Easter baskets and make sure the school stuff is here and everything. And I think for me, that's one of the hardest things.
Just especially navigating the holidays, man. Like, it was weird though. Like Thanksgiving, when we did have Thanksgiving, like that was Tyler's. He likes food. He's like me, and I was I liked Thanksgiving. I thought it was healing, like, and sounds corny, but I was very thankful this year of all the family members that I had, more so than ever. And it was great to see everyone. But then navigating Christmas was different. But They say God works in mysterious ways. So, and yeah, I was just gonna. We had a very long story short. We had a neighbor of ours that was literally dying the week of Christmas. I took the week off to be home, and it's
Long
just
story short, we took care of him. Like, we would bring him food and make sure he had fresh water, and he wanted coffee, so we made him coffee, and we were just for
it, it
Matt
was it was
especially, it was
it was frustrating. Not that I
no,
just
you're
it
okay.
was like frustrating, but
Mhm.
it was like
Sting
and
for
it
you a
was
little
weird
bit.
after like day 3 of like helping him find his catheter plug and stuff
Mm.
in a not good situation. I was like, man, this is a heck of a distraction. I'm like, man, this is God working in mysterious ways for
Yeah.
us, and it really helped,
Mhm.
helped us.
Yeah, but I also going back to the question, it's like there's, a little bit less of the, we need to go to this wrestling tournament or pick
Mm.
him up from practice and stuff. Now we have one child that's doing that stuff. And it's like the lesser of things that we're doing that we wish we were doing. It's just not there and it's never going to be there again. So it's a weird feeling because it should be there. I mean, so this is where my mind is that I think it should be there, but the bigger power above is like, no, that's not, that's the story. And that's how it was
Mm.
and is supposed to be, even if we feel like that's not how it's supposed to be. And I think that helps me too, is like, I know where Natasha, Kylie, and Tyler are. And that gives me just an abundance of comfort and peace because they're okay. We're the one I don't wanna say we're the ones stuck here, but we're on Earth in this fallen world that we're gonna feel all these emotions, but they are glowing and they're happy and they're safe and they do show us signs. I have this thing with Kylie and it's sun dogs. I don't think I said this in the last episode. I hope I'm not repeating myself. But
You guys
I've
familiar with the term sundogs? I don't know if that's like a Central New York thing or not.
so a
I
sun
don't know
dog,
it.
it's like a little like smudging of rainbow in the sky. And it's not like a U-shaped or, it's just like a little blob of rainbow, and I would always send pictures to Kylie, and I would see them with her a lot, and I see them all the time, and every time I see them, I'm like, "Hey, hey, Kylie," I obviously think of her, like, big time, and it's just like her to me checking in saying, "I see you," and, I'm just saying hi and making it aware that I'm here with you or with all of you, just thinking of you. I
Yeah.
guess, just a little sign. And I like how you said like the coincidences thing, like we don't believe in them. I think they don't exist. I think no matter how many signs people maybe feel or think that they see during a day, you could see thousands of them. They could all be signs. It's sometimes people are like, oh, well, I see a sign once in a while, but you have to open yourself up to receiving them too and not being closed off.
One thing about Tyler's perspective, or like the way Tyler, he appreciated Monica so damn much too. Like he loved Monica. Like he would hug Monica and tell her he loves her. And like and when we were navigating a lot like through the custody situation, like, he would say things like, we're really lucky to have her, and like stuff like that. And Kylie,
Well,
I just think of I think of like you braiding her hair. Like she loved Monica braiding her hair so much. Uh,
she was always really awkward when she would ask me. She would have, like, the hair ties in the brush in her hands, and she'd be like, "Do you wanna braid my hair?" I'm like, "Yes, I always will say yes." And
mhm.
we would do that, and the conversations that Kylie and I would have, she always just loved sitting there talking about the universe and aliens and this weird stuff that she's like, "No one else really talks to me about this stuff." They might think it's weird, but we would sit there forever talking about all these weird things, and that was very special to me, and I think about this stuff all the time.
What a blessing for Tyler and Kylie to have the opportunity as long as they did with you on Earth, right? To form
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
relationship. Can I ask how many years have you been together and have you been a part of were you a part of their life?
Yeah, so we're going on so September would be 10 years. So it's a long time. It's weird to think about how long that is. Like Bradley was like what, 3, I think when we first got
Yeah.
together, and it's so crazy because when we met, like we both were like, man, we're losers. We're living in our parents' basements, our jobs are and we have kids. Like no one's going to want to talk to us. So I'm like this is like meant to be, you know. We got to get together. It's got to be us. Yeah, and it just like we clicked so quickly, and then I remember, I think we went to, a little restaurant where I met his kids for the first time, and they were so they're so cute and tiny and silly. When we would all get together, it was just like, this is, like, how it's supposed to be. Oh.
Melanie, so my stepdaughter Melanie, she's the same age as my daughter, and
Mhm.
so it was an interesting dynamic
Well,
that
Kylie loved Melanie, and, like, so many photos we have, Kylie's arm is around Melanie,
yeah,
and that just, like, yeah.
blended families. There's never any issues with blended families. It's so easy all
None.
the time.
Mm.
None.
Yeah.
5 kids. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
But it was I don't know. It was incredible, and it still is.
Yeah.
It's
How is that with so it's Melanie and Taylor, correct? And Bradley. And so with the 3 of them, how is it now in because there's different stages of grief and different ways of
Mhm.
expression. Do you find that as a unit, you've been able to kind of navigate grief together? Or how are you doing this? How are
well,
you
the girls are
supporting them?
they're
Right.
gone. So Taylor, she's moved out now. She's 20, and so but she's away a lot. I
Mhm.
talked to her a little bit about it because she was like, there's the kids all went through phases where like one kid got along good with this kid, and like almost like, and then they'd
Yeah.
start bickering, and then in like Tyler. I think
Mhm.
Tyler kind of always got along with them, but I think sometimes
Yeah,
it was the girls. It was almost, like, yeah,
sometimes,
bumping
but
heads, like very typical.
then they would still hang out
Yeah.
together and love each other. It's just normal sibling
uh,
stuff, I think.
But Melanie's just, we're so open about stuff, and like I've never once tiptoed about my thoughts about the kids at all. Like if I think about them, or if I had a dream, I'll talk about it. And I think that's my opinion. I think it's so much healthier than avoiding
Mhm.
talking about it. And like don't get me wrong, I don't want that to be like all I talk about, become my identity, to talk about nothing but the loss we had, because it's like, I could see that as being, it could be detrimental to maybe even the kids. But
Mhm.
we would always just, we talk about things, and I don't know. I feel like, just feel like everybody's doing, given the gravity of
Right.
the situation, especially doing really good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we saw, my oldest more, but she lives,
yeah,
like, an hour away. But
Melanie and Tyler were like
yeah.
the last like
Mhm.
years. Melanie was good friends with Tyler's girlfriend, so like they would kind of like do things together even, and like they got to be like,
Mhm.
they're always, like, picking on each other and stuff, and just being, I don't know,
At
they're,
each
yeah,
other. Yeah.
so, I
That is, yeah, I mean, for a whole nother podcast, but so sad to think of the girlfriend for me, to
Mhm.
think of being, she's 17, 18 when
yeah,
the
Yeah.
incident happened, to be a 17 or 18-year-old and to lose that, right? I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the weight. And it's also very special she has that relationship with Melanie because
Yeah.
there's that also connection,
Yeah.
yeah,
at knowing where they both know him and
Yeah.
love
yeah,
him,
Right.
right?
yeah,
Yeah. I'm so glad that, like, they just hung out the other day, so I think
Mm.
that'll be hopefully a forever thing, and they'll be there for each other and,
yeah,
yeah, talk about Tyler and stuff.
Well, why don't we? I mean, we're going on the hour now. I would love to hear some, either what wasn't helpful to you or what was
Mm.
helpful to you in particular within your role and within the family. Does anything come to mind? Any advice you could give to someone like this may work, or you may want to stay clear of that?
I think one of the first things that comes to my mind is to know that it's okay to be sad and to talk about how you're feeling and talk about your loss, because it is what happened, it is reality, and talking about it kind of relieves you a little bit, at least for a little while. And if you can talk about it with someone that maybe went through a similar situation, not that you want anyone to understand your pain, but you connect with someone like that, and it's just different than just talking to, like, a therapist or something. I think the connection gives you a little bit more peace. So definitely, I think being open and honest about your feelings and knowing it's okay to feel sad is.
yeah. I think in this is, again, I've always been pretty weird when it comes to this, but I've talked to a lot of people, and I would bring it up, and sometimes there'd be people that have no idea what we've been navigating. I would like people, and it sounds weird. It's not like I don't mean like I would brag to them of what we've been going through or what we've been through, but I like people to know because if they obviously I told you I just got done with a big like run with my son. I think it's important for people in the area like they see me out running, a few days a week with my dog or whatever. It's like that's my answer. When I could have just stayed home isolated and chosen other ways to tolerate this. And I think me being open and talking to people about this has opened dialogue with people that I never would have had. And kind of in a similar sense, I always go back to Terry Tucker. He talked about his cancer. He's like he wouldn't change him having cancer because him having cancer has allowed him to meet incredible people, and like it changes appreciation of life. Now, I'm not saying I could say the same thing about losing my kids. Like if I could choose for them to be here, absolutely that would be my choice. However, there can be so much good that can come out of the negative situation. And I believe if you lean into it, I think the more tragic your situation, the more severe the loss is, I think the more silver lining you can find. And you may have to look for it. And I think it's also an opportunity to show people, I hopefully you can be strong, and not saying that's all you have to be. You can be broken and hurt and all that stuff too, but to show people like right now people need, I think more than ever, just examples of resilience. And people need to see that like regardless of what happens to you, you can keep going.
You can keep going in a good, healthy way, not going down a dark path and
Yeah, substance.
or
Why?
hurting yourself in any way. Like, you can do it the healthy way, and
Yeah.
it might be a little bit harder, but in the long run, I think people are gonna realize that it is the better choice, just helping other people. Yeah, like, when people are watching your journey of getting through all that kinda stuff, they're like, "I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it, but today you made me think differently," or, "Today you made me do something differently that
Yeah.
they wouldn't normally do." I don't even know if that
Yeah.
answered your question.
No, it did. And it's what is useful. And I think what is useful is for people to listen and engage in conversation around the experience, but also to you to do things. Right. I think even with the running, for example, right? I think back to, I remember when my sister passed, my dad would still go out and with some of his had a couple, friends that he would go out with. And my mom kind of felt like, oh my gosh, how could he do that? Like, my mom just had this sense of like, it like almost like disgusted her. Like, who is he? Like, he wasn't giving her like, in some way, he was harming my sister, the memory of her. And I remember saying, like, "Mom, it is fine if you wanna stay home in bed. I do you, but the fact is Dad is needing to do it different.
Mhm.
Judge not," right, in the form
Right,
of grief. And then
right.
someone else goes through a loss, one of my dad's friends, right, loses their child, and then they remember, "Oh, wow, how did Bruce manage that?" Or someone went out for a run, like, one foot in front of the other.
Mhm.
And you
Yeah.
do that, and, the hope is eventually it kind of sticks, and even when you go for the run maybe 5 times and it was not so great, one time you're like, "Shit, I'm really enjoying this,"
Yeah.
right? "This
Right,
is
Yeah.
feeling
right.
really good." Doesn't mean I'm not grieving. It doesn't mean I don't, right? Like, it's many things can be true at one time, but I
Yeah.
think what always maintains the same is your love and your connection to your children. It's
Mhm.
the story, it's unmovable. I think we could end with one thing you are most grateful for or gratitude you have now more so coming from this experience, coming from this loss.
Pick
Have
one
you
thing
changed it
that
all or is anything are you more grateful for anything or have you
I'm more grateful for every
Every
second,
single thing.
every breath I take, and every experience. I really couldn't pick one
Right.
thing, and my gratitude for life is I'm
Yeah. I feel like for me, I'm usually in a crazy positive person anyway, but more so when I now see or hear people, but and then hopefully change their perspective. Thankfully, people have said, "You made me think differently," and I'm grateful for that. So it's not everything that we've been through has just really, I think it does come down to gratitude. Like we are just more thankful for everything that we have now.
Yes.
What?
Putting out positivity. Like I've always been a
Yeah.
good tipper, and like I tip more than I can afford, honestly, now, because I think it goes back to, I think, the way we make people feel in this world. It's so important.
Yeah, I think just being more and more grateful, and a lot of times it's like, how can we be more grateful? But
Yeah.
there's always a little room to be more grateful.
Yeah.
I love that answer, and I'd agree. Even when things are annoying or frustrating, right? It's almost like you snap out of it sooner.
Mhm.
There is this gratefulness for the opportunity to even be frustrated.
Yeah.
This gratefulness to
Right.
be present.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
I think what the two of you are doing and have done throughout your journey, which will continue in grief and gratitude, is really beautiful, meaningful, and necessary for those who get to hear you and experience, your podcast and just knowing you. So thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate it
you.
very
Thank
much.
Yeah,
you.
thank you for
Guys,
being
so
here.
much.
Yeah.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Absolutely. All right.
Consider being a supporter of the show by downloading episodes, subscribing to the podcast, or clicking the support link in the show notes. You can also leave a 5-star review wherever you listen. If you would like to share your story, please message the Facebook or Instagram page. You can also email griefandgratitudepodcast@gmail.com. Tune in next Monday for an all-new episode. This podcast was created to honor the memory of Declan Shaw ONeil and Jennifer Lynn Berry.